You don't become great by chance, you decide to become. Every action you take is either pulling you forward or holding you back. If you want to rise, you must act like the person who's already there. Speak with certainty, move with purpose, show up with the energy of your future self. Because your identity isn't just something you discover, it's something you demonstrate. The moment you act like it's already yours, you start becoming the one who deserves it. In few moments, you will learn how to step into your future identity and act like the version of you that wins. Every decision you make is a vote for the future version of yourself. The problem? Most people cast their votes for comfort, not character. You say you want success, but are your daily actions aligned with that claim? If your dream version of yourself wakes up early, learns daily, and speaks with confidence, then you must begin behaving as if those traits already belong to you. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for approval. Your mind is the engine, and your habits are the wheels. Start steering today. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You don't become confident by thinking about it. You become confident by showing up consistently, even when your hands shake. Think of Florence Nightingale. She didn't wait for courage to arrive. She walked into plague-infested hospitals and became courage. You can't wait until you feel like the person you want to be. You must act like it first. That's how you become it. So what are your habits casting votes for today? Are they shaping the person you've dreamed of becoming, or are they keeping you chained to the familiar? You don't become a leader by watching others lead. You become a leader by deciding every day that your actions will echo your aspirations. And if you act like the person you want to be long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize you already are. You say you want to live boldly, but fear always whispers louder than faith. It slips in quietly, yet grips you like iron. It's not always a shout. Sometimes it's a subtle pull backward when you're just about to step forward. Every time you hesitate, every time you shrink back, you train your nervous system that fear is in charge. Your body remembers that retreat, and slowly, without realizing it, you become a prisoner not of your circumstances, but of your pattern. But the opposite is also true. Every time you step forward while your heart pounds, every time you speak while your voice shakes, you teach your soul that courage leads. You rewire your spirit to follow growth instead of comfort. Boldness is not about noise. It is not about being brash or reckless. Boldness is silent, deliberate, and anchored in conviction. It is choosing to rise even while your knees tremble. It is believing that forward is better than familiar. Eleanor Roosevelt, one of the most influential women of the 20th century, was once afraid of public speaking. Her voice wavered, her hands trembled, but she stood anyway, not because the fear was gone, but because the mission was greater. Her legacy was not built in the absence of fear, but in the presence of faith. She decided to act boldly, and her decision shaped a nation. You might be waiting for fear to leave before you act, waiting for a day when you're fully ready, fully confident, fully sure. But what if that day never comes? What if fear never fully leaves, but your courage grows stronger anyway? What if the only way out is through? The question is not, are you afraid? The question is, will you act anyway? What decision could you make today that echoes the boldest version of yourself? What step, what leap, what risk would you take, not because you feel ready, but because you refuse to be ruled by fear? Boldness is a muscle, and just like any muscle, it grows through tension, repetition, and resistance. You don't become bold overnight. You become bold through small decisions made in quiet rooms, through difficult conversations, through vulnerable moments where your voice shakes, but you speak anyway. You don't need to conquer the mountain today, but you must take one step. Make the call, say yes, say no, ask the question, fly, begin. You are not waiting for boldness to arrive. You are becoming bold, decision by decision, inch by inch. You are reshaping who you are. With every bold act, no matter how small, you vote for the version of you that doesn't back down. You cast a ballot for growth, for expansion, for destiny. So what will you choose today? Comfort or courage? Safety or stretch? Fear or future? Your legacy won't be written by what you felt. It will be written by what you did despite the fear. one bold act at a time. If your future self walked into the room right now, would they recognize your actions or be confused by them? The version of you that you've dreamed about, prayed for, envisioned in your highest moments of clarity. Are you living in a way that mirrors their discipline, their focus, their integrity? Or have your days been filled with delay, distraction, and diluted effort? You cannot wish your way into transformation. You walk into it, you build it. Choice by choice, day by day, not in occasional bursts of effort, but in the quiet consistency of daily decision. The greatest deception is self-deception, to speak of becoming while living contrary to it. James 1:22 tells us, "Be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." The word demands congruence, not performance. You don't impress heaven by speaking lofty visions, you honor it by embodying them. You might have good intentions, but intention without action is just imagination. True alignment is when your thoughts, your words, and your actions all face the same direction, forward. Benjamin Franklin is proof that transformation is not mystical, it is measurable. He didn't just hope for virtue, he documented it. Every day he tracked 13 virtues, holding himself accountable with ink and truth. Wisdom did not find him by accident. It met him at the intersection of routine and resolve. He knew that greatness is not revealed in occasional acts, but in consistent behaviors, and that is still true. The question before you now is urgent. What do your current habits prophesy about your future? Not your affirmations, your habits. Are you building the life you claim you want, or are you rehearsing a performance of progress? If your future self is focused, how do you eliminate today's distractions? If they are financially free, how do you steward money today? If they are courageous, which truth must you finally speak? If they are respected, what disciplines do you need to honor now? You don't become confident by wishing. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself repeatedly. You don't become powerful by declarations. You become powerful by decisions. Decisions that reflect the highest version of yourself, even when no one is watching. You say you want change, but are you living as if it's already begun? Stop waiting for the right mood, the perfect conditions, or more clarity. What if clarity comes after obedience? What if growth follows action, not precedes it? Ask a better question, not when will I change, but what would my future self do next? Then do that, not once, but daily. Discipline is not dramatic, it is dull. It is silent. It is showing up again and again, aligning your life to the identity you say is yours. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. Your identity is revealed in repetition. You are what you repeatedly do. So if you want to become someone different, act differently, consistently. The truth is, your future self is not waiting to appear. They are waiting to be built. And the materials are already in your hands. Today's choices, today's habits, today's mindset. So what will you do with this day? Will you move toward the life you say you want, or will you delay again, hoping transformation arrives on its own? It won't, but you can. You can show up today like your future self is watching, because they are. And they're counting on you to get this part right. Most people wait for motivation to appear like lightning, sudden, dazzling, undeniable, but that kind of spark is rare and unreliable. Motivation isn't lightning, it's fire, and fire must be fed, not once, not occasionally, but every single day. Waiting for motivation is a gamble, but building it, that's a choice, one that compounds. If you want to act like the person you admire, start in the shadows, begin where no one sees, build their habits in private, form their mindset in solitude, practice their discipline in silence. The spotlight never creates greatness. It only reveals what was built in the dark. This requires sacrifice. You must say no when others indulge, not out of fear, but out of vision. You must choose growth when others choose gossip, not because you're better, but because you're becoming. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. To number your days is to recognize their worth, to stop treating time like it's infinite, because it isn't. Every minute you spend is a vote for the future you are building. Time is currency, and your investment reveals your values. What you spend time on is what you prioritize. So what does your calendar say about your character? Are you feeding your fire or letting it flicker under the weight of distraction? Booker T. Washington, born into slavery, given no privilege, no platform, no inheritance. Yet he taught himself to read by candlelight. He cleaned classrooms to pay for education. He didn't wait for someone to notice his potential. He worked until his potential became impossible to ignore. Later, he became an educator, author, and advisor to presidents. His motivation wasn't gifted. It was grown. It didn't strike from above. It was kindled within. So ask yourself, what are you feeding your fire? Are you lighting it with books that challenge you, with goals that stretch you, with mentors that refine you, shallow conversations and mindless habits? The person you admire, they're not magical. They are intentional. They are disciplined when no one is watching. They train when no one claps. They study when no one cares. That's the real difference. Fire grows when it is fed, but it also dies when it is ignored. Don't wait for a big spark. Start with small twigs. A morning routine, a 30-minute reading session, a hard conversation, a bold move. Feed your fire in quiet ways, daily, consistently, because your future doesn't need a flash, it needs a flame. That flame becomes your compass. It gives light to your path. It warms others as they come near. It becomes the foundation of your leadership, your clarity, your power. But make no mistake, it is your job to tend it. No one will do it for you. No one else knows the dream that burns inside you, so protect it, nurture it, show up for it, not because you always feel like it, but because it always matters. So today, feed your fire with vision, with discipline, with truth. The path your future self walks tomorrow is being lit by the fire you tend today. You can't become who you were meant to be while clinging to who you used to be. But that's the silent trap so many fall into. They crave elevation, yet resist evolution. They want new outcomes, but refuse to release old identities. You cannot walk into a new life with the weight of a former one dragging behind you. If you want to rise, you must release. If you want transformation, you must let go of everything that no longer serves the future you are building. It feels like loss, but it is not. It is transformation. It is the shedding of what was, so what is meant to be can emerge. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not by forcing change, not by pleasing people, not by performing, but by inner renewal. Renewal demands unlearning. It requires you to question the beliefs, the stories, the labels that you've carried for years. Just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's faithful to your future. You may be holding on to an identity rooted in pain, in survival, in fear, but that identity was formed to get you through. It was not meant to carry you into what's next. Purpose does not live in the shadows of who you used to be. It lives in the light of who you are becoming. Harriet Tubman understood this. Born into slavery, she fought for her freedom. But she didn't stop there. She went back, again and again, risking her life to lead others to liberty. She was not just escaping a system. She was shedding an identity. She stopped seeing herself as property and started living as a pathfinder. She didn't allow her past to define her potential. And neither should you. Ask yourself, what identity must I rewrite to rise higher? What narrative must I rewrite? What mindset must die for my purpose to live? This journey is not about abandoning who you are. It's about discarding who you never truly were. The insecure version, the doubting version, the playing small version, the version built on others' opinions and past wounds. Your destiny is too valuable to carry dead weight. So look closely. What are you still gripping that your future self would never carry? A toxic relationship? A limiting belief? A title that no longer fits? An apology you keep waiting for that will never come? Set it down. Not tomorrow, now. Your freedom isn't in the next achievement, it's in the next release. Who you are meant to be is already waiting, but you can only meet them when you're willing to leave behind who you no longer are. The truth is, the cocoon must break for the butterfly to fly. The shell must crack for the seed to grow, and you must let go to rise. This is the nature of transformation. It is not clean, it is not neat, but it is sacred. Let today be the funeral of false identities. Let today be the birth of your becoming. Speak this aloud if you must. I am no longer who I was. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. Walk forward, not with apology, but with authority, not with fear, but with clarity. The life you seek doesn't begin with addition. It begins with release. So step forward and walk as the version of you that's already free. The most dangerous lie isn't that you'll fail, it's that you have time. Time to begin later, time to grow later, time to become later. But later is the graveyard of potential. It's where visions fade, where dreams decay, where purpose gets postponed into oblivion. Every second you delay stepping into your future self, you reinforce your current one. And your current self, if not growing, is slowly declining. Be very careful then how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. That means the moment in front of you matters. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Opportunity doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It favors the prepared and the present. In the 19th century, while many businessmen in Britain waited for markets to stabilize or conditions to be favorable, one man named Thomas Holloway built an empire in health and education. He didn't wait for clarity, he created impact. Holloway founded one of the most important pharmaceutical companies of his time and later used his fortune to establish Holloway College for Women, a bold move in an age when few invested in female education. He could have waited, he could have played it safe, but he moved with urgency. He turned profit into purpose. What about you? Are you mistaking fear for wisdom? Are you letting hesitation wear the mask of patience, waiting for clarity when it's really courage that you lack? The future doesn't demand perfection, it demands momentum. Acting like your future self isn't about having all the answers. It's about refusing to stall. Every hour you postpone bold action, you lose the power of compounding growth. One step today multiplies tomorrow. But zero action? That stacks into zero progress. The cost of delay is invisible at first, but devastating over time. Stop telling yourself you'll start when it's easier, when life calms down, when you feel more ready. That day never comes. The world doesn't pause for you to feel courageous. It rewards those who move in spite of fear. So ask yourself, what choice could you make today that your future self would thank you for? What conversation are you avoiding? What habit could you begin, not because it's convenient, but because it's critical? What vision are you carrying that deserves action now? You say you want a different life, but are you living differently or just talking about it? Time is the most expensive currency you have, and once spent, it cannot be earned back. Stop protecting your limitations with excuses. Stop wrapping procrastination in philosophical language. Time does not bend to desire. It bows only to discipline. If your dream matters, then time is not a luxury. It is a test. And the way you spend your minutes will determine the measure of your life. You are not promised a someday. You are only gifted this day, this hour, this decision. So move now, make the call, begin the project, have the conversation, say yes, say no, but whatever you do, do not stay still, because stillness is not peace, it is decay in disguise. Minute by minute, you are either building your future or burying it. The clock does not care, but your purpose does. So step and keep, because destiny honors the doer. You say you want to rise, but who are you when no one's watching? That hidden version of you, the one behind closed doors, holds the keys to your future. It is not your public face, your polished words, or your curated posts that shape your destiny. It is the quiet discipline, the unseen work, the silent decisions that determine the height you'll reach. Public victory is nothing more than the echo of private discipline. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. What flows from you when the applause fades, when the lights dim, when no one is keeping score? At midnight, when the world rests, what are you feeding your mind? What habits are you repeating? What thoughts are you entertaining? The answers to these questions are not just small details. They are the blueprint of your future. George Washington Carver. A man born into slavery yet destined to shape history. He didn't wait for a stage. He didn't wait for validation. Instead, he labored in hidden laboratories, working through the night, transforming a simple peanut into hundreds of innovations. His genius wasn't a flash. It was forged in silence. His character wasn't built in public. It was cultivated in solitude. His impact shouted only because his preparation whispered. Are you mastering your habits when the spotlight is off? Are you building in the shadows what you intend to reveal in the light? The truth is, success does not begin on the platform. It begins on the floor of discipline. You don't suddenly rise. You simply meet the moment with the readiness you built in secret. Don't be deceived by the culture of instant fame. True greatness is slow cooked, not microwaved. It is formed in the furnace of consistency. And the furnace isn't glamorous, it's repetitive, it's lonely, it's filled with choices that no one applauds, but that heaven counts. So who are you behind the scenes? Would your future self be proud of your midnight habits, or puzzled by your inconsistency? Would they find a life being prepared for greatness, or one being distracted by comfort? Every private decision is a seed, and every seed, over time, produces fruit. If you want the fruit of excellence, plant the seed of integrity. If you want the fruit of influence, plant the seed of service. If you want the fruit of impact, plant the seed of hidden diligence. Greatness doesn't come from wishing for recognition. It comes from living in alignment when no one's clapping, no cheerleaders, just you, your choices, and your creator. Start winning in secret. Start training as if the world already sees you. Speak with excellence even when you think no one hears. Work with excellence even when no one thanks you. Show up with excellence even when the reward feels far away. Because when your moment comes, and it will, you will not need to rise to it. You will already be there. Not because of luck, but because of legacy. A legacy forged one private decision at a time. So guard your heart, sharpen your habits, build your soul, and live today as if the future is already watching, because it is. You were born with power, but then came the conditioning, the slow, silent erosion of confidence, the voices that told you to wait your turn, to tone it down, to not be too much. So you learned to shrink. You learned to apologize for your presence. You learned to ask permission for what was already yours by design. But the version of you that will change your life and maybe change the world will never be found hiding behind approval. The path forward begins not with external validation, but with internal conviction. Galatians 1:10 asks, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? You can't serve your future and serve fear at the same time. One must die for the other to live. So many wait to be chosen, not realizing they already are. Chosen to lead, chosen to build, chosen to speak. But still they hesitate. Still they defer their destiny to the opinions of others. Still they make themselves small in rooms they were meant to transform. Sojourner Truth had every reason to stay silent. Born into slavery, stripped of rights, she could have chosen invisibility, but she didn't. She stood tall in courtrooms. She thundered truth from pulpits. She didn't wait to be told she was ready. She decided she was. And that decision changed history. And that is the very decision before you today. Will you continue waiting to be picked, approved, or will you stand up, speak out, and act like the chosen one you already are? Stop deferring your destiny to people who don't even understand your assignment. Stop asking small minds to validate a big calling. Stop shrinking to fit environments that cannot contain your future. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break through, to disrupt, to rebuild, to reimagine. And yes, that will be uncomfortable. Yes, that will cost you. But nothing great is birthed without discomfort. So ask yourself, what would it look like today to take up the space your calling requires, to walk into rooms with the authority of someone who belongs there, because you do, to speak as if your voice matters, because it does. Every moment you wait for permission, you delay your purpose. Every time you seek applause, you sacrifice authenticity. But when you stop waiting and start walking, everything changes. Not overnight, but inevitably, because power flows to those who claim it. You don't need more credentials. You don't need more followers. You need more courage. The courage to believe that your presence is not a mistake, that your voice is not an accident, that your dream is not too much. Let this be the day you decide to be dangerous, to fear, to doubt, to the systems that kept you small. Let this be the day you stop seeking permission. You were not designed to live in the shadows. You were designed to illuminate. You were not made to conform. You were made to lead. And the moment you believe that, truly believe it, is the moment you begin to walk in the fullness of your purpose. So rise, not with apology, but with authority, not with arrogance, but with alignment. You don't need to ask if the world is ready. You only need to declare that you are, because you are, and it's time. Most people measure progress by results. They look at the numbers, the followers, the income, the trophies. But the wise, they measure progress by alignment, because alignment is the invisible engine behind every visible outcome. If your life is not aligned with your vision, then every step forward is actually a step sideways. Are your actions matching your destiny or your doubts? That question isn't rhetorical, because if you're moving toward a vision that your habits betray, you're not being strategic, you're being self-deceptive. Amos 3:3 asks, "Can two walk together unless they are agreed?" That includes you and your future. If your current lifestyle is out of agreement with your desired future, one will eventually cancel the other. This isn't just about dreaming big, it's about living smart. Dreams don't just need belief. They need alignment, consistency, proof. Because when your life is in agreement with your purpose, every moment becomes a brick in a foundation that lasts. Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb by luck or by one stroke of genius. He failed thousands of times, but every experiment, every spark, every late night in that lab aligned with a vision of a world lit by electricity. His results were delayed, but his commitment was immediate. He didn't wait to see if it would work before acting in alignment. He aligned first, and the results followed. So ask yourself, are you committed to your dream or just interested in it? Are you consistent when no one claps, or do you only take steps when applause is guaranteed? Too many live in contradiction, speaking dreams but building distractions. You say you want clarity, but you feed confusion. You say you want greatness, but you settle for comfort. You say you want impact, but your days are filled with the trivial. Your life cannot walk in two directions. If you're still trying to please both fear and purpose, you're divided, and division always delays destiny. So which direction have you chosen? Really chosen? If you want the future, you must practice it today, in what you eat, what you read, how you speak, how you respond when no one watches. Because your choices are sermons. They are preaching something. They either proclaim your belief in your vision or they declare your disbelief. So examine your day, honestly. Does it confirm who you want to become or contradict it? Are your habits echoing your highest intentions or are they sabotaging them quietly? You can't fake alignment. You can only live it. It doesn't require perfection, but it does require honesty. If you're out of alignment, adjust. If you've been distracted, return. If you've been passive, recommit. Begin now. Begin again. But whatever you do, do not stop until your actions, your mindset, your relationships, and your rhythms all point in one direction, toward the future you say you believe in. That's not just how you create results. That's how you become unshakable. Because when your life preaches one message, truth, purpose, conviction, everything begins to move in harmony. Momentum becomes natural. Discipline becomes easier. And your results, they become inevitable. Live aligned, not later, now. The person you want to be already exists within. They're not waiting for the perfect day. They're waiting for a decision. But that version of you doesn't come alive in ease. They are revealed through adversity, called out by challenge, formed in pressure. You cannot microwave growth. You must endure it. Trials aren't detours. They are mirrors. They reflect the strength you forgot you had. They expose the mindset you've been, and they introduce you to the power you thought you lacked. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That perseverance is not weakness, it is becoming. So the real question is, are you resenting the hardship that is meant to forge you, Are you trying to escape the very thing that will elevate you? The fire is not your enemy. It is your forge. It doesn't come to destroy, it comes to refine, to burn away what's brittle, to reveal what's real. Andrew Carnegie. Born into poverty in Scotland, he immigrated to America and began working as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory at the age of 13. His hands were stained with labor, his path filled with barriers. Yet every setback taught him discipline. Every obstacle refined his resolve. He worked through the nights, invested in books, learned from mentors, and endured criticism and setbacks others would flee from. But through pressure, he grew, not just into a titan of industry, but into a philanthropist who gave away the majority of his fortune to fuel education and libraries around the world. Andrew Carnegie's legacy was not created in comfort. It was forged in challenge.